Hey, I'm glad you stopped by. Come on up, I have something to show you. Welcome back to the Old History Project YouTube channel. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please see the description below for links to my Facebook page and podcast. Today we're here at Hayslope. It's around the 11th of June. So before we get into Hayslope here, I wanted to thank everybody personally here for all the help you've given me over the last couple of years. You know, I won the award on Tuesday, June the 7th for community history. Of course, everybody knows that I'm not just limited to Hamlin County. You know, I have a pretty broad spectrum of subjects that I cover in places from around East Tennessee. So, without further ado, let's introduce Hayslope. So, Hayslope is a pretty historic little home here in Hamlin County. It was built in 1783, making it 247 years old. It's the original log cabin. If you guys remember the last video, there's all the trash and stuff back here. Chris and I cleaned that up, took care of it. Still got a little bit to go, but it certainly looks a lot better. Got rid of the ash pile. Oh yeah, and back there is one of the chimneys for the original resort houses. So we're still cleaning up some stuff. This is a pretty long process, but it is what it is. We've recently been working on, over the last couple months, me and the owner has been cleaning up the inside, and we started with the top room because it was in the worst shape. And I do apologize for not going in there and showing anybody, but there was stuff in there that I didn't want on camera. Unmentionables, as we'll call them, people's information and stuff like that. And we'll just leave that conversation at that. We got most of the upstairs clean, save for a few things. I think maybe, actually no, it is clean. Just got to pick up our trash bags and stuff and sweep. So we're gonna go inside, show you guys the upstairs, and next we're going to interview the owner, just so that way you guys have an idea of what she wants to do with the home. So let's go. All right, so here we are in one of the upstairs rooms. So I'm not exactly sure how they redone this, because this is an original to the cabin. Because, well, they wouldn't have done stuff like that back in 1780. That's more, I think, in the 1800s, mid-1800s. Because this right here was the original stairway to this part of the house. You can tell that just from that log right there. So this here is an all cedar room. So this is going to get taken down by a professional. She's going to salvage all of this and, you know, give it to somebody who can use it. I don't know what she's going to do in particular with it, but this is another room. It's a vent in the floor, and they had a wood chimney up here at some point that's separate from the original chimney. That in there is another cedar closet. Here, pull out my flashlight here. Right here, this is really cool. This is one of the original logs for Hayslope. And again, I'm not entirely sure how they done this, but there's more of the original logs. They're in great shape, because this is a modification of the original floor plan. So anyway, some of the stuff that we found is that some of the logs, I guess they got wet and they rotted pretty bad. But that's why we have historical preservationists. You know, this stuff can be fixed. You don't even have to worry about it. So this is the living room, and I think that right there might have been the kitchen fireplace because it's pretty large. As you guys seen at the end of the video where me and Chris went into the house, this foundation is huge. So I think that before this was bricked up and sealed, this would have been the kitchen fireplace. So here's something else that I wanted to show too. These are the original logs. There's the chinking material. And there's your original doorway. So this is a whole lot cleaner from whenever we first came in here. I'm super glad about that. But anyway, I'm not sure what this fireplace would have been, because it's smaller than the other one, but this maybe might have just been a heating fireplace. I'm not positive. So as far as I know, and you guys are going to hear this at the end of the video, I think that all of this past this wall is going to be taken down, and the front porch, because the front porch isn't really secure. So I think this might still be part of the original cabin, because when we crawled up in here, there were still wooden beam supports up under here. So I just don't know. And I'll let you guys know whenever we get a historian out here. Well, a historian besides myself, thank you, to see just what's going on here. So, without further ado, let's get started with the interview with the owner. So there's your Hayslope sign. And we've gotten a couple of messages from people, hey, why don't Hayslope have a sign? Well, here it is. She put it up, I think about a month or two ago. Really nice sign. So without further ado, let's introduce Miss Wild Moon here, the owner of Hayslope. So, Miss Wild Moon, what can you tell us about what's going on here?
A lot of sweat. Mostly right now we're working on getting rid of the trash that was left inside, hence the dumpster, second dumpster we've had. Once we're all cleared out, which we're getting close to now, then we'll actually start with the professionals who know what they're doing, because you don't really need to be professional about dumping trash.
So, that being said, as we've seen up there, there have been extensive modifications to what we think to be the original cabin structure. What do you think happened there, given that it's over the span of 240 some odd years?
Well, I know that my great uncle Esco did a considerable amount of renovations to it in 1937, 38. And I think a lot of what you can tell are modifications were what he did. And I'm in search of photos for what it might have looked like inside, and actually have Uncle Esco's daughter coming over today with pictures. So hopefully we'll get an idea of what it was that he did to it. And then I'm searching for older pictures from the Rogan period before his renovation, so we can compare the two and figure out what actually has been done. We kind of think that the original cabin may have just been one room with a loft on top, and that would have been the room with the larger fireplace, and that Roddy then, shortly thereafter, as his family grew and as people started wanting to stay in the cabin, added the second room and the loft on top of that room.
Well, that's really interesting. As far as, well, what's going to happen to this place in about a year? What do you speculate, maybe a couple years from now? What are you going to do with it?
Well, I'm hoping that the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to save those cedar closets that are upstairs in the wood upstairs, because that's some pretty nice wood. We hope to get onto the National Register. I started the process, but I had to put it aside, so I'm gonna start that process back again, trying to get on the National Register. And then we start the renovations. We're gonna take the whiteboards off here and get back to the logs, see what we need to do to repair or replace any of the logs under there. We know we need to do a little bit of work on the foundation joist underneath, but they're in pretty good shape considering they're 240 years old or thereabouts. So that part, the newer renovations that my great uncle did are unfortunately going to have to come off because the foundations of those are not so good. But then we start recreating what Roddy did, and I'm hoping to do kind of a hybrid, I think, of what Roddy did and what the Rogans had, even though the house pretty much looked the same in those periods. And I'll probably add a little something on what the Thomasons did with it, because the Thomasons were a pretty important family in Russellville down around the turn of the 19th to the 20th century and thereabout and further on.
So, how can people, if they want to help you out, what can they do to help? Maybe like donations? Are you accepting donations?
Accept donations. We have a 501c3, so your donations are tax deductible. And there's a spot that you can do that on our website, hayslope.org. And there's also a blog on there you can sign up for, so you know what's going on. And because I pretty much track everything that we do. We have a Facebook page that you can find as Hayslope 1785 that you can also follow what's going on. And when I'm up here, as I say that I'm going to be up here on Facebook quite often, so we know that I'm more than welcome to come and help move stuff around. But pretty soon we're going to be getting to the professionals. But it's just, as you can see, I'm sure you've seen, there's still some trash that has to get hauled out, so we'll still be working on that.
All right, so you guys heard it from her. www.hayslope.org. You can go, she has a section for donations, or you can also reach out to see how there are other ways you can help too, maybe with materials or something along those lines. So if you're coming up here, be sure to grab you a flyer, and be sure to follow her on Facebook. It's under Hayslope, or you can also just reach out to me and I'll send you her way. So, without further ado, we'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell button to be notified next time I upload a new video.